शुक्ल सर, गुड इव्हनिंग.
गुड इव्हनिंग. गुड इव्हनिंग.
कसे आहात?
बस मस्त. मजेत एकदम.
छान छान. नमस्कार.
नमस्कार. थोडा स्टार्टिंगला थोडा माईक आणि स्पीकरचा इश्यू येत होता मला एक दोन
Oh, I
मिनिटं.
see. I hope it is resolved now.
येस, इट इज रिझॉल्ड.
Good, good, good.
कारण आय हॅड
I
टू
just.
स्विच अकाउंट. कारण मी
हो
एम आय
हो
टी
हो.
मध्ये व्हिजिटिंग फॅकल्टी पण आहे, तर त्यांचं झूम अकाउंट वापरतो.
Oh,
फॉर
अच्छा. Okay,
पर्सनल
okay.
मीटिंग आहे स्विच अकाउंट, मग त्याच्यात कधीतरी गडबड होते.
Okay, okay. I'll just introduce you. He is Mr. Atul Puri. He is
हॅलो.
the founder
Right. Yeah.
of eGrowth platform. And Atulji, he is Mr. Avinash Shukla, a chartered accountant from Nashik. And he is going to talk to us about, we heard about the medical therapies, many medical therapies, but now today he is going to give us talking about this financial therapy.
Great.
So our financials will become healthy. That's what is the
Fantastic.
intention motto of today's session.
So welcome, Mr. Avinash.
थँक्यू. थँक्यू. माय प्लेजर.
Avinash ji, good evening.
In today's world, everybody is looking for financial therapy.
Very correct, Atul. शुक्लाजी कसे आहात? नाशिक काय म्हणताय?
नाशिक मस्त. पाऊस थांबलाय. विश्रांती आहे पावसाची.
हो, पावसाळी परवापासून जरा विश्रांती मिळाली आहे.
हो.
I am fond of Nashik actually. I stayed in Nashik for 7-8 years.
ग्रेट.
So I used to stay in तिडके कॉलनी. आणि नाशिक हे माझं फार आवडतं ठिकाण. आणि I was working with Mahindras and Toshiba Instruments and ABB. I was there for about 7.5 years or so. After that I came back to Aurangabad. So नाशिकबद्दल प्रचंड प्रेम आहे आणि नातेवाईक आहेत अजूनही तिथे.
ग्रेट. ग्रेट. छान.
तुम्ही राहिला कुठे मग तिथे?
इंदिरानगरमध्ये.
इंदिरानगर. ओके. इंदिरानगर म्हणजे प्रेस एरिया ना?
नाही, प्रेस एरिया नाशिक रोड.
हां, तिथे पण एक मध्ये प्रेस आहे ना इंदिरानगर. तिथे क्वार्टर्स वगैरे आहेत सगळे ह्या
नाही,
नाही
ते
का?
सेक्युरिटी प्रेस म्हणताय ना तुम्ही?
नाही, सिक्युरिटी प्रेस नाशिक रोड इज डिफरंट.
हम्म.
एक इंदिरानगरमध्ये जे लागतं ना, म्हणजे द्वारकाकडून आपण नाशिक रोडला जातो तेव्हा डावीकडे.
नाही, मग ते वेगळं असेल. हे
अच्छा.
इंदिरानगर मुंबई नाक्याकडून
हो हो, अच्छा
त्या
अच्छा.
साईडला लागतं.
आग्रा रोड.
टुवर्ड्स मुंबई जाताना लेफ्ट हँड साईडला लागतं.
ओके ओके. आग्रा रोडवरती आहे. मुंबई आग्रा
आग्रा रोड.
रोड.
हा, आग्रा रोडच्या ईस्टला आहे इंदिरानगर
ओके
पूर्ण.
ओके ओके ओके. सैदा मॅम, गुड इव्हनिंग. प्लीज अनम्यूट युअर सेल्फ. Atulji, it is 7:05. So I
Good
think
evening, sir.
good evening. How are you?
I am fine, sir. How about you? Good evening, everybody.
Good
Evening.
evening.
गुड इव्हनिंग.
I'm good.
I think let us start.
I think just we'll wait for 2 minutes
Fair enough.
and then so that some more people can join. I don't want them
Yeah.
to miss the session from the beginning.
Absolutely.
What's the average count of the
Normally
participants?
it is between 15 to 25 on this platform, and we go live on the Facebook as well as we are there on YouTube also, and subsequently those who are not able to attend, we share the recording of this video today. So that is our practice, because during pandemic and lockdown people were at home, so it was a leisure for them to join at any time.
Right.
Now that is not the situation, so situation has changed slightly, and now it is a bit the rolling has started. So people
Right.
are on the travel, maybe people are busy with their businesses, but they do listen to the YouTube or the recording which we share with them, which will be shared with you too.
I think maybe what we could do is we could have a short introduction of all the
Sure,
people who are there,
sure.
and so that we are making good use of the time that we are spending.
Yeah, so I think it is better you start with Atul himself.
Sure. So my name is Atul Puri, and I started eGrowth around 7 years back. The intent of starting eGrowth, and also eGrowth stands for exponential growth. Very often we would think that it is electronic growth. We're not talking about electronic growth, but exponential growth. The thought process there was that for small businesses, there are quite a few challenges. There's challenge on resources, there's challenge on contacts. So what is it that we could do such that we are a part of the solution rather than being a part of the problem. So with this idea, the platform, it was conceived in 2014. And we started building with three pillars. The first pillar is collaboration, which is all about bringing business owners together. The second pillar is excellence, which is about taking your business to the next level. And the third pillar is opportunities. So creating more opportunities for businesses through referrals or otherwise. So this is what a CEO stands for: collaboration, excellence, and opportunities. Today, as we speak, we have a community of around 50,000 business owners spread across India and some other countries as well. We have a portal, egrowth.org. As a business owner, you can go and create your profile on the portal. You can search for other people's contacts, reach out to them, and build your business. We also have a structure called the Inner Circle, wherein we have a curated network of around 50 people who come from different industries from 18 cities in India and elsewhere. And we meet on every Friday to discuss what are the challenges which are there in the business and deliberate on those challenges and create more value for the business owners. This is essentially what keeps me busy. All right. So I'll invite others to please.
Yeah, right. Thank you very much, Atulji.
Thank you.
Myself, Anand Paul. I'm based out of Aurangabad. Coach,
Hello.
trainer, graduate of science.
Hello.
I did my MBA and involved with e-growth activities from last one and a half year or so. And having about 42 years of the industrial experience, so there is a lot of with me to give others. So, and I'm having a ERP expertise also, which Shuklaji will definitely understand what is the importance of ERP system. This again Anand Paul from Aurangabad.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Satyaji. I think Satyaji is
Hello.
Yeah, Satyaji, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Atulji and Namaskar Avinashji. I'm Satya Gupta. I'm a social entrepreneur from New Delhi, having 41 years experience. For last 5-6 years, I have become entrepreneur. In e-growth, I'm there presently, inner circle chairman also. I'm glad to meet you and we will have more interactions. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Satyaji. Kavita ji.
Yeah, I'm Kavita Baijal from Aurangabad, working as a advisor for life insurance, health insurance, and for mutual funds.
Thank you, Kavita ji.
Yeah.
Prashant Bhore sir, please unmute yourself and just give a brief introduction about yourself.
Good evening to all. Myself Prashant Bhore. I am from Ballarpur, Chandrapur district. Basically started the business in 2000 as a general store, or we can say stationery counter.
Okay.
But currently having agencies, distributor agencies, government supplier, working with schools for uniforms and all, and also Hitwat correspondent, a newspaper correspondent.
Okay.
So always having an opportunity, so I will grab it.
Thank
This
you.
is my profile.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant ji.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Prashant, I think you did not recognize me.
Yeah, I have recognized.
Great.
Okay.
He's my brother-in-law.
Oh, I
Prashant
see.
is my brother-in-law.
Okay.
I didn't want to disclose as relation because we are now in the business forum, so let's have a business forum.
No, actually, I personally believe that first relation is more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Business,
Good.
it should be at its place. Even the relation of friendship is important.
It is there.
Yes.
Trupti ji, will you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm Trupti. I'm from Mumbai and I'm a dietitian practicing since 20 years.
Thank you. Saida ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sayyeda Firasat. I'm from Aurangabad. I look into aligning various businesses for benefit of veterans.
Thank you.
Wow.
Tejas ji, good evening. Tejas ji, good evening. Good evening. Anyhow, I think
I
he's
think he's not
walking or
okay.
he seems to be outside.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I think we should start, let the people keep on joining, because there are few messages to me that they'll be joining in short time. So, Atulji will start.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Good evening, everybody. And myself, Anandpur, the president of eGrowth. In that capacity, I'm welcoming the guest, Mr. Avinash Shukla, who is chartered accountant by profession. And I also welcome the participants on the platform now and those who will be joining shortly. So we'll have just a brief introduction of the guest today. Mr. Avinash Shukla is a chartered accountant specializing in financial management advisory services. He used graphology, psychology, and dermatography, multiple intelligence test, DMIT, which we call it as, and of course, financial expertise to identify blind spots of clients and suggest the corrective action plan, which includes the graphotherapy and various other fun game activities. We handhold the client, he handhold the client to the desired goal with periodic meetings and discussions. His mission is to accelerate personal and business growth by combining mental, emotional, and physical dimensions with financial expertise. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Avinash Shukla, Chartered Accountant, for this expert talk today evening. His expert interaction, he will be speaking on financial therapy. I'm sure people must have heard about a lot of different therapies in medical language, but this is going to be financial therapy. I hope all will get well financially after going through his therapy and getting the therapy solutions from Mr. Shukla. Thank you very much. Mr. Shukla, the platform is yours.
Yes, thank you, Anandji. Thank you, Atulji. And thank you to all the participants who have joined here for this topic, for listening on this topic. I would like to mention at the outset that topic is new for all and it's equally new for me as well. I have done a little bit of studies into it, so I'll try to put it in as simple language as possible for all of you. So even I am equally excited to discuss about this topic.
Atulji,
Can you allow me sharing?
Co-host.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, please. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. So this is the topic, understanding finance beyond numbers or understanding the financial decisions beyond just the Excel sheets. And my journey into this topic started, I myself is an Excel trainer as well in a corporate setup. I also train for Excel, how to use Excel efficiently, Excel, many things in Excel. I also do customizations in Excel. But over a period of time, during my practice, I realized that Excel sheets cannot be base of decision making because there are so many other factors involved into it. And luckily, I had an opportunity to study about multiple intelligences, study about handwriting analysis, that is graphology. And with all that practice, little bit of, I started gaining insights into this financial decision making and how the psychology plays a role in this. And I would request all the participants, whenever you feel like you want the concept to be more elaborated or some topic to be discussed into more depth, you just unmute yourself and ask me. I'll go into depth because in that context, it will be easy to discuss the topic rather than building it again at the end of the session.
Okay.
So it will be easy for me to just extend the discussion then and there itself. It will be more relevant.
Okay.
So what this financial therapy is about. So finance, you all are business entrepreneurs, so you know what finance is. So I need not explain that to you. But anyway, one simple tip, finance is everywhere, in every part. It's just like blood in the body. It goes in every minutest part of the body. And similarly, the impact of finance reaches the every minutest part of the business. What is therapy? Therapy is a treatment intended to relieve or heal a disorder more importantly, therapy is related to psychology, where treatment of mental or psychological disorder by psychological means. Now, how this is being integrated, that is really interesting. So initially, I'm going a bit fast because of these are some definitions which are quite theoretical, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on the very basics of it. So definition of psychology, it's the science of mind and behavior, mental or behavioral characteristics of an individual or group. It is study of mind behavior in relation to particular field of knowledge or activity. So this is more important definition from our perspective because it is a study of mind and behavior in relation to particular field of knowledge. So here particular field is finance. So how the mind of a person or how a person's behavior is impacted or is for a particular domain of knowledge, that is in this case finance. So how the financial decisions are taken by person, he or she may be qualified in the domain of finance or may not be qualified in the domain of finance. Irrespective of that, what is the behavior pattern of a person in financial decision making, and why there are some people who take good decisions and why there are people sometimes or many times their decisions go haywire. Yeah. So that's why this question, why many take nasty decisions, particularly financial decisions, because there are many factors responsible for our decision making, particularly financial decision making. We have been believing that finance is about numbers. Indeed, it may be true, but the decision making, when the point comes to decision making of finance or in the domain of finance, the numbers play a very limited role. You must have observed in certain scenarios, in many situations with yourself, with your business, in case of you taking some decisions, if you go back and check your decisions, numbers played a role, but it was very, very limited. And what you felt, how much risk you were able to take, you were able to carry, what was your opinion about it, played more important role and a major role in that decision making. So this brings us here. The factors responsible for our decisions, it's the natural intellectual makeup. So how and in what area the person is intelligent. So there are basically 10 areas of intelligences. I'll discuss that a bit later. So what is the strength area of the person? What is the weakness of that person? That will have the impact on financial decision making. External influences. There are so many share market tips, so many market tips, like not share market, but other market, like real estate market, gold market, bullion, all those things. And those are external influences. Some of our friends tell us something that this share is going to rise. Now, just I'll make a disclaimer that it is not about equity markets, but just as an example, I'm quoting it. So there are so many external influences. There are some news, there are some opinions from our friends, groups, from the business groups we normally interact with. So all these are the external influences. Factors outside of our control. So obviously there are many, many factors. If one has to quote the percentage of those factors which are outside of our control, it would be more than 95 in a very modest way. But if we really dig into it, there are more than 99% factors which are beyond our control. And only 1% factors actually are in our control. And psychological influences. That is, the person is conservative, risk prone, slow moving, very action oriented, planning oriented, jumping to actions. So there are so many things into it. So all these impact the financial decisions, and the final decision may come out to be right, okay, in many situations, but it doesn't mean that the decision was really taken with all the information into consideration, because at first place all the necessary information is not available at all, and whatever is available, we have limited resources, limited intellectual resources to process all that information that is actually available to us. Okay, because if we start processing a lot of information, we get tired because of that information overload, and there is a time for each one that would be a different cutoff, that we finally decide that forget about the processing of information, let me take a call. and it happens with each one of us. I hope everyone can correlate some of the situations during their decision making process in business, or when you may be in your job as well. But for MNCs, obviously there are lots of processes laid down which make the decision making comparatively easy, but still it doesn't mean that that is all 100% correct. So the tools are multiple intelligence. Now, in multiple intelligence, there are two ways to assess the multiple intelligence. One is dermatoglyphic, that is, derma is skin and glyphic is graph. So the lines on the skin, particularly the fingerprints, are assessed to find the multiple intelligence profile of a person. Second method is psychometric, where there are some tests, some questionnaire given to the person. On the basis of that, multiple intelligence profile is found out. Graphology is handwriting analysis. So the person's handwriting is important from many perspectives. It is actually a subconscious programming code of the subconscious programming. So those who are into software will understand it better. But it is just like printing the subconscious program on the paper, okay, if we can really read the program. And there are many other tools as well to peep into the psychology, behavior patterns of the people. But I personally feel, of course, all are good tools. I don't deny the importance of any of the tools. But these two tools, multiple intelligence and graphology, combined together form really a very powerful combination to seek or to go into the subconscious or thought process of a person. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, sorry. So next is about multiple intelligence. So I'll dwell some time upon it. And I would request Anandji to just indicate when I'm close to the end of my allotted time. And one more thing, because there was no specific dialogue about the language of the presentation, so I've assumed that it has to be in complete English. So if you think that if you want it in English, I'd be glad to do that as well. So
No problem. You please continue.
okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when we talk about multiple intelligence, every human being born normally has all the 10 intelligences. So 5 of the left brain and 5 of the right brain, those are indicated over here. Predominantly left brain is more about data, more about analysis, more about logic. And right brain is more about creativity, colors, vision, emotions. So what are those intelligences? I'll not be discussing each and every intelligence because it will take a lot of time, but I'll be discussing only those intelligences which actually have an impact on financial decision making. So we'll start with the left brain. The intelligences are intrapersonal, mathematical, logical, fine motor skills, linguistic, and naturalistic. So in short, first I'll tell about each and every intelligence. In short, intrapersonal is the intelligence which enables the person to understand about self. It gives the person rationality. It gives the person self-esteem, oblique ego. Because self-esteem and ego are two sides of the same coin. Mathematical logical intelligence is about numbers. It's about time. It's about logic. It's about reasoning. So logic, reasoning, number ability, affinity with numbers, all this comes from mathematical logical intelligence. Fine motor skills and patience, it's about finger control and facial expressions. It's also about patience. Linguistic is about language. It's quite simple to understand. Naturalistic or observational is about nature and observation. So each intelligence either may be average, either may be high, or it may be low. So what if it is high? What if it is average? If average we normally do not consider, because average plays an average role. What if it is low and what if it is high? That we'll be considering. On the right hand side comes interpersonal intelligence, that is about understanding other people, leadership, long-term vision, goal. Then is visual or spatial, that is about long-term vision again. It's also about understanding the size, distance, and speed. How far the object is, how large it is, and at what speed it is coming to us. So each one of us has all these intelligences. We use this while driving, while parking, while playing cricket, table tennis, and anything of such kind. Gross motor is about the bodily intelligence or the energy levels. Musical, I think the word is very clear. And aesthetic sense is about the aesthetic color sense, organizing in an aesthetic way. Now, why they are marked in a different colors on this slide? Those intelligences with red color are more important from financial decision making perspectives. So obviously mathematical logical is the intelligence, as I mentioned earlier, is about numbers, is about logic, is about reasoning, is about calculations, is about timing sense or time sense. So all these, I think it's very easy for us to make out that is important for financial decision making, because finance is about numbers, finance is about timing, finance is about calculations. So those who have this as a strong intelligence, their financial decisions will be more logical. They would be more rational and more logical. Fine motor skills and patience, why it plays a role? Because for long-term financial decision making, patience is very important. If a person is weak on patience, that is, this intelligence is weak or underdeveloped, then the person may lose his not just temper in many cases, but person will lose his cool when the markets say go down, or when there is a problem in the financial aspect of his or her business, and so on. So patience is very important for this. And when the person loses this patience, obviously the decisions taken in that moment are nasty, are would have a long-term negative impact. So this plays an important role. And another intelligence is on the right hand side or the right brain, interpersonal intelligence. That is, sorry, I mistakenly took patience. Next is naturalistic observational intelligence. For financial decision making, observation and ability to comprehend a large amount of data is important, and derive some observation from that is important. Patience or fine motor comes in the second category, so they are marked in blue. Red is the most important one for financial decision making. So observing and finding some meaningful outcome of the large data is what will play an important role, or finding meaning out of apparently looking meaningless data. Okay? So that is observational intelligence. And visual spatial is about long-term vision and ability to foresee, or in statistic we see regression and we say extrapolation of some data. So that comes from visual spatial intelligence. The combination of mathematical, logical, naturalistic, observational, and visual spatial will make a person mentally, intellectually better equipped to take financial decisions. But still, emotions will play an important role. Okay? Intellectually, the person is better equipped. So a person who is qualified in finance is intellectually anyway better equipped for financial decision making, but still emotions play more important role, because we all know, as per all our Indian ancient text, every ancient text tells us that we should have control on our mind and emotions, but ultimately we have to learn that to control our mind, and that is what is the role of emotions. At the second level comes intrapersonal. Why it is important from financial decision making? Because that gives rationality in decision making, that gives reasonableness in decision making. Okay? The person will make more rational decisions rather than going into extremes. Fine motor I have already covered. Interpersonal, because person would be able to connect with other people, would be able to seek their opinion, would be able to lead other people into right decision making, thereby helping himself as well in the long run. And the other four marked in white are directly not at all associated with financial decision making. If anyone has any questions at this moment about this, I think I would take them. If no, then I'll just proceed ahead.
If anybody has got a question, please raise your hand in the reaction box so that we'll be able to give opportunity to those people to ask the question. Otherwise, everybody will start speaking. So if anybody has a question, please raise your hand.
Atulji has raised a hand.
Yeah, Atulji, please.
Yeah, so I don't have a question as such, but just the thought that putting two areas of study which are very distinct from each other and bringing them together, I think that is really awesome. Okay?
Thank you.
And I can very well relate to the red and the blue. Normally, it would not have been possible, but I think Avinash ji has done a real good study on it. हमने सुना था कि जी सीए बहुत पढ़े लिखे होते हैं, but इतने पढ़े लिखे होते हैं that I never knew.
Thank you for these kind words.
Yeah.
Avinash ji, I
But
have
as a
question
CA, I'm
actually.
fine. Okay, sorry. Yeah,
I have a
Anandji.
question on this multiple intelligence, this particular slide of left brain and right brain. I just, financially, as you said rightly, Excel works on the numbers. But along with that Excel, we need to work on our brain also. How you were able to identify this and how actually it works?
Okay, fine. How? So I'll first answer. There are two questions: how I was able to identify this and how it actually works.
Yeah, please.
So basically, I learned about this multiple intelligence some 5 to 7 years back. Yeah, approximately 7 years back, when one of my close friend, he himself started this service for children. Okay, particularly, this GMIT test is done for children to assess the career choices: art, science, commerce, engineering, medical, particularly where sports or what. So assess that. So this test gives that report in that fashion. But when he forced me, because of certain reasons, he forced me to do this study. After I did it, I started doing this test for some of my clients who are senior, who are not, obviously, they are not kids. They are into their 40s, 50s. My senior most client is a 62-year-old chartered accountant itself. And after the discussions and the findings of the report, it gradually started opening up in my head that these are the correlations. So obviously the initial take on this report or this tool was to determine the career choice of a kid, to help parents decide that after 10 the kid should go in which side, art, science, commerce, or whatever. Okay, or what would be a very specific area of selection, like if it's sports, then whether he should be a bowler or a batsman. If he's a bowler, then whether the person should be a pace bowler or whether the person should be a spin bowler. That can be identified from this report. But over a period, when I did many reports, I actually did about 150 plus reports. So that gave me good insights into how people think. Then about 5 years back, I got opportunity to learn graphology. And then gradually, after analyzing samples, many samples, and all the results getting to be correct, it gradually happened. It's not that that I thought that it should happen or I forcibly tried to correlate it. It gradually happened that yes, there is a very profound correlation between these things. And then in the lockdown, I got opportunity to study about it. I just dig down all the database that I had and tried to dig down, try to establish the correlation in reality, have some database at my end to substantiate the facts, and then came up with this topic. And of course, it took some time for even deciding the name of the whole kind of a service.
Really, it is something very different which we never thought of, to be honest with you. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
If anybody has a question, please raise the hand, otherwise we'll proceed to the next slide. Okay, please proceed.
Okay. Now, what are the psychological factors that play an important role? So, thought process. There are different types of thought process. I have just indicated some of them. Okay, the person may be attached to the past. Now, what impact this thought process would have? There can be multiple impacts. Now, this is just one classification of a thought process of a person, which may, in most cases, is apparently visible from handwriting. From multiple intelligence report, we cannot find this out. But from handwriting sample, it's very apparently visible. And what is the impact on business? What is the impact on overall decision making of the person can be easily found out. The person may be futuristic, optimistic, or pessimistic. That can be easily assessed from handwriting. And all these will definitely have an impact on the decision making, not only financial decision making, but every decision making. And of course, most of the decisions have a financial impact. Okay? So there are very, very few decisions which will not have a financial impact, but most of the decisions has financial impact. Time management. How is the time management of a person? If we relate to the earlier slide, I mentioned in mathematical logical intelligence is also about time management, time sense. So if that is weak, then the person may be finding it difficult to manage one's own time. So his or her time management may be a challenge. But over a period of time, he or she might have developed some tools and some areas or some methods to manage the time well. So it is not apparent. It may not surface up, but still the challenge remains within. Okay? So that difficulty or that weakness is not visible to the world, but the person knows from within that it is a challenge, or person finds that activity as not interesting, or if he or she is exposed to overload of time management, then the person may get exhausted at the end of the day, because that is not the person's strength. What is the time when the person is more active? Whether the person is nocturnal, whether he is an early riser, can work very well in the evenings, in the afternoons, in the mornings. All these does matter a lot. So there are many people who are morning early risers, and they keep all the great people, all the big businessmen. They keep all the important decisions in the first half of the day, and second half of the day they don't keep any important decisions to be taken, because the brain is very active in that portion of the day. But of course, what is the right portion of the day when your brain is active can be assessed from handwriting to a great extent. Whether person is organized, unorganized, shabby, all these things can be found out, and it will have a profound impact on the financial decision making. I have a slide after this, that how it has an impact, or what financial pain area, and what is the reason behind that, certain psychological reason behind that financial weakness of the business. I'll cover that in that slide. How is the decision making? It's based on risk appetite of a person. If the person is risk prone, then the person will take risky decisions. The risk, now risky doesn't mean they are problematic. The person may take risky, but the risk will be calculated risk, uncalculated risk, or person is playing very safe. So absolutely not in a position to take risk. Now again, this comes from optimistic and pessimistic behavior as well. If the person is pessimistic, will be risk averse. If the person is optimistic, he only can take risk because he is optimistic about the future. A pessimistic person cannot take risk. Whether they are thoughtful, whether it is emotional, that is impulsive decision making, how much emotions a person puts into decision making. Now, the important point is whether it is necessary, or how much it is necessary to put the emotion into decision making. It is always heard and said that you should keep emotions out of your business. Business should be at the place of business. A decision should be taken uh, objectively. There should not be subjective elements, or your emotions should not come in between while taking the decisions. But it is impossible not to bring emotions into decisions. We are human beings, we have emotions, and our emotions are going to play a major role in everyday aspect of our life. We cannot separate it. It's highly impossible. So however and whatever people and all the experts and all these people may say, it is impossible to separate emotions from our decision making, and that makes us unique. So I think we should go with it. We should make the best use of it. That's the objective. Relationship, every relationship, including relationship money with money, will have an impact on decision making. Now, how is relationship with, there are primarily three relationships that matter: relationship with father, relationship with mother. Now, how it impacts the decision making in case of finance. Okay? Relationship with mother is what the person will have as an extension of every other relationship. Okay? So if a person is very well related to mother, that person will be in a position to establish good relations with every other person coming into his life, his or her life. If the person has good relationship with father, then the person will have good relationship with all the authority coming into his or her life. So all the superiors, seniors, boss, all that authority. And obviously that has an impact on financial management of the person, and it also defines the relationship with money as well. So what is the chatter, what is the thought process behind or about money in our heads? Mostly our culture talks about the negativity of money, but it is not so. If we look into all the gods that we pray, say Bhagwan Ram, okay, he was a king. So he enjoyed all the luxuries as a king, but he was completely devoid and completely detached of it. Not devoid, but detached of it. Had he, was he supposed to leave because for the vanvas? He left it. He had no attachment to it. So having it, enjoying it is one part, and being attached is another part. So fine, I'll not go into that philosophical aspect. Planning and action. Some people who directly jump into action, they don't plan. There are some people who only plan. They have analysis paralysis kind of a thing. And whether the person is balanced. So plan well and then jump into action and execute well. So all these psychological factors do have an impact on the balance sheet of the business. Fine. This is a handwriting sample of Albert Einstein. So why I have taken Albert Einstein? Just because it is easily available on net, and I didn't want to share any sample of my clients. So obviously they are confidential. If one sees why handwriting is a very, very important aspect of deciphering a person's mindset, because you cannot find, just search, if you can search on Google a handwriting sample of any scientist. Okay? Just put any name and you will not find a handwriting which is big in size. If you see this, it is very small. The middle zones are very small. Okay? So small handwriting indicates good amount of concentration for long time periods. Every scientist need that. Further, the red line indicates the baseline. That is the baseline of the handwriting, which is straight in this case. It's straightish. So straight is very rigid, but straightish is what we refer to in graphology. So that has a meaning. I'll come to that a bit later. The blue vertical line indicates the left margin. So it is written on a plain unruled paper. So what is the left margin? It is again straightish. Okay. So whether it is straight, whether it is haphazard, that has a meaning. When we look from the graphology perspective, once a paper is given to a person and he writes something on that, then what he writes and the areas of the paper that he leaves blank, everything has a meaning. Everything. If he cuts something, it has a meaning. How the person cuts the letter, it has a meaning. how he puts the placing of margin, placing of words, distance between the words, distance between the lines, everything has a meaning. Okay? So this was just a sample to indicate the size of the handwriting. So here I'll be discussing a little bit about left margin, how a left margin indicates the behavior of a person with one particular perspective. So here, if you can see, these blue horizontal lines indicate the lines written by the person, and the red line indicates the margin. So the image in the left very clearly shows that it is a haphazard left margin. So if the left margin is haphazard, then it means the person is unorganized, and it doesn't mean person is not intelligent. Intelligence and being unorganized has no correlation. Haphazard margin indicates person is unorganized and creative, because creativity cannot come out of organization. Creativity cannot come out of order. It has to be random. So this person is creative, and there cannot be two contradicting traits that a person can carry simultaneously. A person cannot be very well organized, disciplined, very, very tidy, as well as extraordinarily creative. It's not possible. Have you seen any advertisement guy who is very creative and who always presents himself in front of the public in nice formal shirt, tie, blazer? You would not see such a person. If you visit JJ School of Arts or any school of arts and creative arts, you will not see any student in formal dress. They will all be in funky dresses. Why I call that funky? Because the platform has all the entrepreneurs who are expected to be in formal, and that's why those dresses would be funky. But an artist, say for example, who is into the creative field, if he is that way, it's fine. It is the part of his existence. He is creative, so he cannot be in order. He will be shabby. His time management will be really bad at times. Usually casual dress. Yes, correct. Casual dress. That is what we call casual, or more funky rather. Just like even Mark Zuckerberg is casually dressed. In most of the times he's wearing jeans and that gray t-shirt. So that is also casual, but still he's in order. So casual and funky are different things. So for all those left brainer people, which are indicated in the image on the right hand side, where the left margin is really organized, quite straight. Now this is not the printed left margin, but it's on the unruled, unprinted, plain paper that one can achieve. Okay? Now this is, since I have drawn it, I have made it as an image, it is quite straight. Practically, it may not be this straight. It may be slightly deviating, but visually it looks really organized. That is the best. That is best means from the organized perspective, it is the best left margin. But if it is very, very straight, if you just put a scale on the first alphabet and the last first line and the last line, and all other lines exactly fall in place, then the person is actually unorganized, because he is trying to project an image that he is organized, and that is exaggeration. In graphology, basically exaggeration is considered as lack of it. That is, if somebody has confidence, it's good. But if somebody shows the trait of confidence to be too large, it is exaggeration, and that indicates lack of confidence. So anything excess means lack of it.
Excellent, excellent. A different theory altogether.
Yes.
And that too through a financial expert.
Thank you. So here I have tried to indicate some different types of left margins. So straightish blue line indicates the straightish margin. Red line indicates the haphazard wavy margin. Now further it is classified into different things. Now this is a widening left margin. So it starts narrow and it goes on increasing as the writer progresses downwards on the page. The next one is narrowing. So this is the narrowing left margin. Writer starts wide and then it goes on reducing as the writer progresses downwards on the page. Then is convex. Starts narrow, increases as the writer approaches the middle of the page, and again decreases as the writer approaches to the end of the page. Now, what are the meaning of it? Fine. I think I should not go into the meaning of it right now. It can be discussed later, or maybe if anyone has specific question, I can answer that. But this has a meaning in identifying the person's one portion of behavior.
But Avinash, just sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you.
Yeah.
But definitely I'll be interested, particularly the middle two one, this widening and narrowing.
Okay.
What exactly it means? What exactly it indicates about a person?
Okay. So I'll just cover in short.
Yeah, please.
Basically, left margin, left is about the past and right is about the future, according to graphology.
Okay.
So left margin indicates now how much is the left margin according to the size of the paper also matters. But I'll just tell what is widening. Widening means the person starts close to the roots or close to where he is right now, and he approaches, he is going away from the past or roots. So the person may be running away from the existing situation or is planning to run away from the existing scenario. So if the employee has this handwriting, this kind of a pattern, now this may be temporary. Currently, the employee has this pattern. It means that the employee is planning to leave the job and go to somewhere else, maybe into a bigger city, into another country, something of that sort. If it is narrowing, then it means in case of an employee, it means the employee might be thinking of leaving the current position of working and going back to his native place, something of that sort. Okay. So this is a very gross interpretation of it. There are many other factors to be considered before exact interpretation can be given.
Okay. Thank you, Avinash.
So particularly if an employee has a widening left margin, start seeing his monitoring his work during the office. What is his work on? He must be definitely trying to find jobs on Naukri.com or such website.
Okay.
Because he wants to go away from that. The reason may not be necessarily that he wants to upgrade himself in the job. He doesn't like the company. He don't like the job profile. The reason may be suppose it's very close to his native place and he doesn't want to be in his native place for any family issues, for example. And therefore he wants to quit the job and go to a place which is far away. So reasons can be different, but he is thinking of going away from his roots. That is what is interpreted with this kind of a margin.
Okay, thank you very much. Please proceed.
Yeah. So these are some of the examples of financial issues that most of the businesses face. Cash crunch. I don't think any businessman can say that I absolutely have no cash crunch. If so, then he has some other problem. I'll come to that. So if there is always a cash crunch, or there is always the scenario that the things are on the borderline, the last minute rush is there to arrange cash for EMIs, to arrange cash for salaries. And if this thing is happening frequently, once in a while, it's okay. But if it's happening frequently, month on month basis, quarter on quarter basis, then it means the person, now here I am referring to the person means the owner of that business who is a single decision maker. If there are multiple decision makers, then the scenario changes. Maybe one is more organized, one is more focused on organizing and arranging the things well. He has good planning ability, and the other one is creative. Then the things are pacified to a great extent. But here I am referring to a single decision maker of the business. So in this case, he may be unorganized. He may have the style where he works till exhaustion. So the person is exhausting all the reserves also till the last rupee before he actually starts feeling it. And the same person would also be working till the last drop of energy in his body. So such people must be sleeping very well because they completely exhaust while working. Okay? They may be impulsive decision makers. So their emotions play more important role, and in most cases, it hampers the financial decision making. Poor recovery rate. So the person may be relationship oriented. So he may have fear of losing or breaking relations, and therefore he is not forceful in asking for his money, which is his right. Okay? And therefore recovery is impacted. He is a poor negotiator and poor logical intelligence, because logic will enable a person to quickly identify what is the financial impact of 1 day or 1 week's delay in receiving the payment. But if the person has poor logical intelligence, the person will not be able to identify. He needs a calculator and Excel sheet to actually find the impact. The impact in actual exact value is not necessary. But to find out or to understand that yes, there is a financial impact because of the delay is what has to be assessed. So he may lack on that. Unfavorable payment terms from, say, suppliers. Again, poor negotiator, poor logical intelligence, fear of not getting support when required. So if the person thinks that if he forcefully negotiates some payment terms and extend the payment to some creditors, then when there is a need, they may not support by providing the raw material on time or so on. So that fear will prevent the person from negotiating in whatever is possible. Okay? And that would again lead to unfavorable payment terms. Now, obviously, when negotiation is poor, recovery rate also would be poor, and payment terms also will be unfavorable. So obviously having a very severe impact on the working capital management and leading to cash crunch. So exactly where is the problem? That has to be identified using just from the ratios, the handwriting and multiple intelligence profile all taken together. It can be pinpointed where is the problem exactly. Because what happens, the consultant or the accounts guy in the company will tell that we are having cash crunch, recoveries are not happening, okay, you better focus on recovery, or these payment terms are unfavorable, we need to renegotiate it. But actually, who is doing it? In most cases, when we are talking about small, medium businesses where there is a single decision maker, that person is doing this activity and he knows what actually is the symptom, but he don't know the solution of it. And that's the problem. So this is an effort to reach to the root cause of that symptom and provide the solution. Traditional business process, such people may be quite attached to the past or roots. So they think traditionally. Such people will not invest in equities, may not even invest in mutual funds, will not be very happy going into IT technology processes, upgrading the systems, using technology and all those things. They would also have low risk appetite because that is what is the traditional way of thinking. There is something in the chat. I think, yeah, what Rajesh ji says, I therefore believe handwriting can be developed. Yes, it can be. And it's not about the aesthetics of the handwriting, but it's about the formations of various alphabets and overall everything that comes on the paper, and all the areas that remain blank on the paper. Everything will have a meaning. How can one judge writing in current scenario? Because there is either no manual or writing restricted to writing daily tasks. Yes, this is a very important aspect. So if you feel that because there is no practice of writing, the handwriting doesn't look good and it is affected. But I'll tell you, it is affected only aesthetically. Look wise, it may not be looking good, but all the characteristics that otherwise you would carry if you had a good practice of writing, and if you therefore you are able to write in aesthetically well, all those characteristics will be carried even if it is not looking aesthetically well. So it's not possible that you write well or you write thinking that you'll be writing very good, and you will hide something from a graphologist. It's not possible. It's only possible if you write all capital, because all capitals are never assessed in graphology. It's not a sample at all. So it's not possible to hide those traits. They will automatically appear in the handwriting because it is an automatic process. Yes, two participants have raised hand. So I think or it is the earlier one.
No, I have raised hand once again.
Okay.
Particularly with this handwriting, particularly when you leave the practice of writing and when you get aged, when you grow by age, you will not be able to write the similar thing which you were writing at the age of maybe 40, 50 or even up to 60. After 60, even you are not able to sign the signature which you had done 15 years before in the bank. In my case, for example, when I go, there is no practice now, so when I go for writing, my hand shivers to some extent, and then because of that, I'll not be able to maintain the margin, I'll not be able to write what exactly is required to be. The alphabets may go wrong or may get spread. So what do you say about that kind of a handwriting?
Yeah, due to age, the shivering that comes, that will have to be compensated for the assessment. That has to be compensated. And therefore, if the traits are visible, if the same handwriting is of a 40-year-old and if the same handwriting is of a 70-year-old person, then obviously the interpretations will have different intensities.
Okay, understood. Okay, thank you.
If a 40-year is writing in a way that it indicates shivering, then it has a different intensity of the interpretation. And if a 70-year-old handwriting indicates some shivering in the writing, then it has a different intensity of interpretation.
Okay.
So that way it has to be compensated.
Okay, Rakesh ji, you have some question?
Yes. Shubha Sandhya. This is Rakesh Jain from Mumbai. My company name is Introspective Rejuvenation Research Center.
Please come to the question.
Please. My question is that now it is very difficult to get that particular assets person because all computerized things are happening. People used to send the messages. People write on that computerized system. That's why how it can be stressed out. Second thing is that what I have found, Twitter has really trained me a lot, very precisely how much you can communicate in a very small words and very effectively. That is also one interesting. Is it that particular some improvement is happening because of the Twitter and people can communicate better through that the frame of the message? Please.
I didn't get the correlation of the question with the topic at first place.
Okay. So, that is the finance related. The whole things are here. I miss lots. Okay, please. No.
Okay, please continue. Avinash ji, please continue.
Okay.
Thank you, Rakesh ji.
Okay. So the last point was remaining long-term planning. So it requires vision, logic, and ability to take risk. I think I'm on the way of end. So now it's open for questions and answers in general. If any questions, I can.
Yeah, Avinash ji, please just please unshare your presentation.
Sure.
Thank you, Avinash ji. It was a really good and very different kind of a financial presentation, I'll say, by a chartered accountant. Rather, in future, I'll call you as a Dr. Chartered Accountant Avinash Shukla ji, because it is something very different study which you have done it. So I'll request the participants to raise the hand in the reaction chat box so that we'll be able to give opportunity. Yeah, first question is from Ms. Kumar. Please unmute yourself and ask your question. Mr. Kumar?
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm with my wife, so she is asking some questions.
Sir, it was a very good information. I just want to know with this thing whether It can be used for personality development. It like somebody is writing something, you understand, you think about this can be changed, or you understand their personality. Based on that, some corrections can be done with this analysis, or it is just for understanding how this person is.
Yes, that's a really important question, which I think during my talk I just missed to mention. If handwriting tells the behavior of a person, and if the behavior changes, handwriting changes, and vice versa. So if you consciously change your handwriting, your behavior will change. Now, what is easy to change? Whether it's easy to change the behavior directly, or it's easy to change the handwriting and thereby having a impact or change in the behavior. So it's actually easy to change the handwriting rather than directly changing the behavior. And therefore it's quite possible, it's actually 100% possible to change the behavior to enhance the personality. Change can be positive or negative, therefore I use the word enhance the personality by changing the handwriting. And it should be consciously and consistently practiced for a certain period of time to see the result, and for others around you, near and dear ones who are close to you, for them to experience change in you. That practice has to be, the first phase of practice is 90 days, and this 90 days would start only after the motor skills are developed to write in a certain way. Then consistent 90 days of practice will enable you to experience those changes within gradually, and for a complete transformation. Now still after 90 days, this is a reversible change. So if you stop practicing, you will go back to your original state very quickly. It's just like you going to work out every day, and you did it for 90 days, and then something happened, you couldn't work out for 7 days, 10 days, and then suddenly you stopped working. Okay? Because it's reversible. For that to become permanent, it requires more longer time period. It may vary from person to person, but ideally it is about 1/10 of the current age. To that extent, if one practices continuously, the person will be completely transformed. Then it will be irreversible.
Yeah, next question is from Rajesh Budhiraji. Please ask your question.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Shukra. This is Rajesh from Delhi. I, in fact, saw a thing on the chat box also that these days people don't write.
Right.
You know, we either use WhatsApp or we use the computer. Children have never written these days, except, you know, when you have to write in an exam. So other than that, there is no writing. So how does that current generation let people know what is the personality of a person? And of course, one thing which you said earlier, I sent that chat to you directly also. During my childhood days, my dad used to make me practice on that Longman book. And I developed a fantastic handwriting, and which even till today, at the age of 67, my handwriting is beautiful. It's all left aligned, you know, it doesn't go zigzag here and there. So it's what one can cultivate.
Great. So I'll first answer the first question. Nowadays, students don't write much because they use only 2 thumbs to write on WhatsApp or whatever.
Absolutely.
It doesn't change the personality at first place. One. Second, since they do not write, it doesn't change the ability of the science of graphology to assess their personality if they have given the handwriting sample. The thing is, whatever is the personality, it will remain as it is. And anyway, if there is no interventions, then even if they are writing, they will be writing in exactly the same way what otherwise they would have written. If they write less, they write the same way. They write more, they still write the same way. So there wouldn't be any change, if at all. If there is an intervention, that if they are advised to write in a certain way to achieve certain result, then that will have an impact if they are writing more or writing less. So if they are writing more, they will achieve the result faster. If they are writing less, the result will come late. That's the difference. And as you said that you have been practicing on that Longman book, you are having a beautiful and organized handwriting. So you, as a person, you must be organized. And of course, there are many traits that can be seen from the handwriting. How much is the ability of a person to express? Organized, unorganized is one portion. Whether the person has grudges or some kind of anger regarding past, fear of the future, anger of something which is superior to the person, anger or self-sabotage behavior. So some traits I'm just trying to mention. So many things come into picture. If the, just for an example, if I have to quote, if the person is having the self-sabotage or self-destructive behavior, so that can lead into many factors. Self-destructive behavior can be just over-exerting oneself is also self-destructive behavior, or overdoing something. If the person thinks of going on diet, he will go on extreme crash diet. That is also self-destructive behavior. Or if one person wants to lose weight, going to gym and working out for 5 hours on the very first day, or working out very heavy on the first day, that is also self-destructive behavior. So it can have different intensities. And it is not, there is not a generic answer to any question in graphology, because it depends on what the person wants to achieve. So the signature would be different for Amitabh Bachchan and signature would be different for Elon Musk. They both have different objectives in their life.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Avinash ji.
thank you.
Anybody has got any more questions to be asked to Mr. Avinash? Please raise your hand in the reaction box. Nobody has a question? Okay, I'll request everybody to put on their videos and please unmute yourself. Thank you, thank you. Others also, Mr. Hemant Kothari ji, Ronik, then Uday Bhagat ji, Sudha ji, please unmute yourself and please start your video also. Thank you. Anyhow, so Avinash ji, I think you have just finished with all your slides and presentation.
Yes.
Yeah, please. As I said, it was something really different type of a therapy which is linked with the psychology of a human being in all respect, writing, behavior, what he writes, what he talks, what is his personality, etc. I'm sorry, we have to, anyway. So what we have learned today is that there are other factors also which affects the financials of an individual. And after going through your presentation, I found it very relevant to the life of an individual, about his financial decisions, about his financial status also. Anyway, it was a really excellent, a very different kind of a presentation which everybody must have liked, I'm sure about it, and we'll try to correlate the symptoms which you have shown to our financial status as of date. And I'm sure I'll be sharing your personal number on the group so that those who need your guidance for such kind of practices, they'll definitely connect with you directly. I hope you don't mind sharing your personal number on the group.
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I hand over the session to Mr. Atul Puriji, who is a founder. I'll request him to say something about today's session as well as about the small brief about the eGrowth platform.
So I think a couple of months back, I was listening to somebody who was talking about creative thinking. And when he was talking about creative thinking, so what he said was, it is the ability to bring two separate things or aspects from different aspects of life which come together. And now when I was also listening to Avinash ji, I realized that when we're driving a car, to see a car which is coming behind us, we are looking at the rear view mirror. We don't turn our face and look at the car which is coming behind us. So maybe in a similar fashion, if we want to see the financial traits of a person, we need not look at his balance sheet. We could probably look at his paper sheet, how he writes. I think this is really phenomenal. And all of us would vouch for it. And I'm sure there'll be many more people who will see the video once it is uploaded on the YouTube channel.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And definitely it's a lot of contribution to all of us. And I'm very sure in the next 24 hours, all of us would have written at least one page trying to see whether I'm going right or I'm going left or I'm going to concave. Even if we've not written for years together. So I think that would be the
and
fun.
that will happen so automatically that even if you try to manage the margin, it will be difficult.
Yeah.
You have to pull your hand in that line, and some trades take really a lot of challenge to get rid of, really a lot of challenge and patience to get rid of. There are some traits in the handwriting which are, if of course we get rid of only negative traits, so negative traits which are very subtle looking, which doesn't apparently hamper the aesthetics of the handwriting, or rather in some type of particularly in case of cursive writing, those traits are predominant because they are taught as a part of the aesthetic of the handwriting, and that creates a lot of negative impact on the person's life and his existence, his being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just one more thing. You spoke about the two pieces, which was the left margin going away, the left margin coming close to the edge of the page. How about the concave one? That you also mark that in green instead of blue. So any significance?
Yes, basically when he starts the day, by the mid of the day, the person feels that he wants to leave. But by the end of the day, again, he feels that the person, okay, I don't want to leave now, it's okay. So he is having a mixed and confused state of mind about whether he really wants to leave that place and go, or whether he doesn't want to leave and go.
So is that where this saying comes from? सुबह का भूला शाम को घर पे आ जाए तो उसे भूला नहीं कहते?
Maybe that's right.
All right, interesting.
Okay.
So thank you for taking time out and contributing to all of us who are present here right now and those who would be seeing this later on. This is our small effort of bringing human beings together. See, the large businesses, the Tata, Birla, Ambani, Adani, they've got enough money and enough resources and enough clout to do whatsoever they want. For a smaller business, he does not have that kind of luxury. Even if he may be enough educated, he may know what to do, he may know where to go. Still, he is so much entangled into his life that he's not able to do all what he wants to do. And in our small way, we are trying to contribute, or we are contributing this to the small businesses. So if all of us would have gone to Avinashji, I'm sure he would have charged a bomb, if not a bomb, a smaller bomb, maybe a Lakshmi bomb. But yet he would have charged something, right? And today he's taken time out and he's contributed to all of us. This is what we mean by collaboration. So this is the demonstration of collaboration which comes in different ways. All of us, when we logged into the call today, into Zoom, we never thought that this is the treasure that we would be taking home. But I'm sure this, a few things are some things which will go to the grandchildren, not just the children. These are so impactful. So this is something what we do at eGrowth. We are a hybrid platform available both online as well as offline, as well available on social media. We're trying to, so as they say, if Muhammad can't go to the mountain can go to Muhammad. So similarly, if the small business owner, he cannot invest in taking his business to the next level, as a community, we are working with the small business owner so that he is able to take his business to the next level. All right. And Avinashji, thank you. We have a small token for you. Let me just share my screen, and I think that will be it. Just a moment.
Shall I share it, Atulji?
Yeah, I've got it.
Got it, okay.
So thank you, sir. Here's a small token of appreciation from our side.
Thank you.
We will also be sharing it with you on your email as well as on WhatsApp. So I must reiterate once again that you've contributed a lot to each one of us who's here today.
Yeah. Looking forward for more such interactions.
Absolutely, most welcome.
Yeah.
And further, I would also state one thing, that all of you, all those who are present right now, can send a sample. I'll just send what is the ideal sample, all the characteristics of ideal sample to Anandji on WhatsApp. He can circulate on the group.
Sure.
So that everyone who wants to send the sample to me can send it on WhatsApp. And
I'm sure. So right, and I'll also tell you a secret. So right now there are 14 people here, and you will get 40 samples. So ghost people who were not here, even they will send samples.
Right.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Atulji, for the brief which you have given. First, we should give a applaud to Mr. Avinash Shuklaji for his sparing his special time for us today, more than about 2 hours now. So, Avinashji, thank you very much. We sincerely thank you for your special time and the special knowledge and psychological chartered accountant therapies, I'll say. Psychological financial therapies. Anyway, it was really good. We learnt a lot from the small tips which you have given, the small findings which you have done in your presentation. So I also thank all the people, those who are present today, were present, and definitely this recording will be shared on the YouTube as well as on the group, and I'll see that it is shared to you too. Thank you very much for coming on the platform, and we'll be in touch with each other. And once I get the handwritten samples, I'll share with you, and then we'll share back to the individuals.
Sure. It was my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, Sandeep has already written a sample, okay?
Sandeep Kumarji, you want to send
Just
it in
writing
Hindi?
write-up in Hindi. Yes, basically graphology is language irrelevant, but I would prefer it in English because there are so many things that the science has evolved or been developed in the Western countries to a great extent. So extending it on the local languages becomes slightly challenging at times. Certain traits may not be found in our Devanagari language, but otherwise, grossly the things can be assessed for sure. More fine-tuning of that is not possible in the local languages, but at a gross level, things can be assessed in any language.
संदीप जी, आप दोनों भेज दीजिए. आप अंग्रेजी में भेज दीजिए, हिंदी में भी भेज दीजिए.
दोनों भेज दूंगा.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice time. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Super Sandhya.
Thank you, sir.